Oh yeah. No
What kind of helicopters did you fly in Vietnam?
Hueys.
Hueys?
Got 1,000 hours of combat time in Vietnam.
Really? Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. 1,350 horsepower in a Huey.
Can you tell me any stories?
I just told him a story. I can tell you a story. This is a bit of a sad story.
All right.
But I was looking at your DC-3 over there, and it reminded me of a good friend of mine, and he was in flight school with me. His name was Leo Hester, and his father was a Navy pilot flying A-1E Sky Raiders, and they sent him on a tour in Vietnam to fly a Navy DC-3 over there, and he got shot down in the A Shaw Valley and was killed in his DC-3. Well, his son, Leo Jr., was in flight school with me, and there was two guys in a room, so he stayed in the room with me the whole time in flight school. So we're nearing the end of flight school, and everybody in the Army who went through flight school had to go to Vietnam. That was there was no chance to do anything but do a tour in Vietnam right away. So we all got our orders to Vietnam, and he didn't get any orders to Vietnam. He got orders to Germany. So he went in to see the commander, and he was all upset because he wanted to go to Vietnam because his dad was killed there. So the commander said, "No, you're not going to Vietnam. Your mom wrote a letter to the Army, and because you're the sole surviving son and your dad was killed in Vietnam, the Army doesn't operate like that. You won't be going." So Leo said, "No, you don't understand. My mom had no right to do that. I want to go to Vietnam." So sure enough, they sent him to Vietnam. So I was over there about 4 or 5 months, and I hadn't seen him over there, and I landed in an LZ out there, and there he was in this LZ, you know, in a Huey as a co-pilot in a Huey. And when you went over there as a co-pilot, it depended on the unit's needs and how fast you would become an aircraft commander. First of all, you had to be able to do the job, but the second thing was, if they were short on pilots, you're going to get moved up a little faster. Well, the unit that he was in was sitting good on pilots, and he had been, they said, "You're going to be here 6-7 months before you become an aircraft commander." He says, "That's not good enough. I don't want to fly lift Hueys. I want to then transfer and be a scout pilot." Well, scout pilots in Vietnam flying the 086s, the Loaches, they didn't last a real long time. I mean, there was a sister unit that was right next to where I was stationed over there for the first cav. And I can remember that when those guys got 6 months flying Loaches, if they made it, then they'd put him in a lift platoon, which meant he'd probably go home. But when I got there, the past 4 pilots that made it, they didn't make it to 6 months. And then this one guy made it to 6 months, and he was celebrating, having a few beers that night. And he was taking a shower, and the only mortar, enemy mortar that we took in was actually rocket, an enemy rocket, came in while he was taking a shower and hit the shower and killed him. And he was the only guy to get up to 6 months where he wasn't going to be scouting anymore. And that's how he died. So anyway, Leo went ahead and took a transition in the 086 over in Vietnam. So then I guess after I saw him in the LZ, about a month later, he comes over to my hooch. And I said, "Leo, what are you doing up here?" I was out of a place called Quan Loy. And he says, "Well, I'm getting a transition in this aircraft, and they told me now that I got some time in it, just go out, no combat, just fly, get used to the aircraft, and then we're going to check you out as a scout pilot." So he took me out in the Loach. We flew around the Loach a little bit. And 2 weeks later, he was all trained up as a scout pilot. 2 weeks after that, he got killed. So he's, him and his dad, I think, were the only son and father killed in the Vietnam War. His name's Leo C. Hester. They're up on a wall there in Washington, D.C. And it was just probably 3 weeks ago, his sister came out here. I just moved out here from McKinney. Came to McKinney. I've got a house in McKinney too, but I'm selling it because I bought a house out here. We like it out here. And his sister came out to visit me and spent about 3 or 4 days here. So it was quite an interesting story, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
But in Vietnam, a lot of wild things happened.
Yeah.
You know, the Army lost as many. Well, I'd say 50% of their combat losses were accidents. You know, taking off too heavy, trying to pull more guys out, like the enemy surrounding the area, so a guy's got a Huey and he throws more people in it and he can't get out of the LZ, that type of thing. You know, so yeah, the Army suffered 50% of their fatalities were accidents. You can believe that. That's a lot.